Hi, I'm Shreya and this is Decoding Code. In this video, we're going to be talking about dates in Java and how to format them, how to figure out what the date and time is right now for the user, and all of that good stuff. And we will be using the Date and SimpleDateFormat classes in Java for this. I'll be showing you guys some patterns that you can use when you're formatting your dates and times as well. So let's just get started. I will be starting with a little bit of a definition about GMT. Now, GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time, and that's basically where there is no offset from the universal time. The universal time is kind of like a baseline for all of the time zones in the world. So the GMT has no offset from that. It's basically the same time zone, and everything else has kind of an offset from the universal time. So in my circumstance, I live in the Pacific time zone. So that means that my time is the universal time minus 7 hours, or you can use the GMT as well. So it's the GMT minus 7 hours is the Pacific time zone. And basically, all of the time zones will be plus or minus something from the universal time. And that's good to know when you are using it in your code, because some things might be based on the GMT that you want to do just like in your code, but then based on the user, you can convert it after that. Maybe you have users in worldwide, different places, so you can convert that from then on into the different time zones. But for the main part that the users aren't going to see, you might want to use the GMT instead, just so you have some sort of baseline. So we'll be looking at this. Now, how you get the date at a certain point in time is this date class. So basically, if you create an object of the date class, it will represent the date and time at that specific moment. So I'm creating an object of this date class. I'm just calling it date1. Every time it runs, it will represent that date at that exact time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in different formats and show the date in different formats. So that's where the simple date format comes in. That basically takes that date, takes a format pattern, and then puts that date into that format pattern. So I'll be showing you guys some patterns. Now, I'm making this string pattern, and the patterns are strings. So the first one, very basic, I'm just doing the month. So that's 2 uppercase M's, and then the day, which is 2 lowercase d's, and then the year. And I'm doing 2 uppercase M's and 2 lowercase d's because the number won't ever get greater than 2, because there's only 12 months and there's only 31 days max in a month. So that's why we use this, and then 4 digits for the year. And then it will give you the date in that specific format. So this is how it's going to look when I go through all this code. And now we're going to create an object of the simple date format, and we're going to pass in that pattern. So we're passing in this pattern to this object of the simple date format. And then what I'm going to do is I'm creating this string date, which I'm going to print out later. So I'm taking this simple date format with this pattern, and I'm formatting date1 to this pattern. And then when I run it, here I'll run it again, I have April 15, 2021, which is the date today. And that's where I'm printing it out. There is another pattern as well that you can do. There are many patterns, you can look it up, but there are lots of different letters that can mean different patterns, and you can figure that out, but these are just some simple ones. So we can create another pattern. This is going to be pattern 2. We have H, which represents the hour, and then we have, I'm putting a colon, and then the month, and then A basically stands for the AM or PM marker. So if it's AM or PM, it's going to put AM or PM. So this is basically the general form that you see a time in, so like 2:13 p.m. And then again, I'm creating another object of the simple date format, putting in that specific pattern, and then I'm going to put the time. I'm making a string time and formatting the date to this format using the simple date format. And then I'm going to print it out, And if I print it out, we see it says 2:14 p.m., which is what I wanted. Now, if you wanted to add words into your format, then you would use single quotes so it knows that this is not part of the actual pattern. So I can say in, and then if I want to put the time zone, that's represented by Z. So if I just put one Z, it's going to give me PDT because I'm in Pacific Daylight Time. And basically what it's looking at is it's looking at my machine and it's looking at what the time zone my machine is on. And then it's printing that out. So I guess if you wanted, you could go and change that in your machine, but mine is just looking at that time and yours will too. So if I put 4, it's gonna actually write it out. So it's gonna say Pacific Daylight Time. So there are just different patterns, different formats that you can write your dates and times in. And it's very important to be able to know these because in a lot of cases in your code, you're going to be handling dates and times because certain things might need to happen at a certain date or at a certain time. Your date or time might need to be printed or there might be a count. I don't know, something might happen in your code, but a lot of times it will involve the date or time. And basically this is how you format it using the date class and SimpleDateFormat class. If you wanted, here's a table in Java Docs for a bunch of those letters and what they mean in the formatting and the pattern. You can use any of these based on what you're making or what you want. And these will help you to format your dates. And yeah. I will go more in depth with this in my next video, but this is just showing you guys how to find the date and format it. So hopefully this helped you, and if it did, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel just to help it grow. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below any questions, feedback for me, and I will see you guys again next week with a video on the calendar class. Bye!